Okay, we are live. We're just waiting on B Money to get the show started. I want to thank everybody for stopping out, tuning in tonight, hanging with the team. Give me a few minutes. I'm going to go ahead and share out to the fans and the people out there who want to tune in and listen to the premiere podcast for Xbox. Oh, man. Hey, what's going on, Vogels Craig? I swear I want to pronounce that name right. I want to say Vogels Krieg. Pronounce that name. Vogels Krieg, right?
Vogels Krieg.
Vogels
Krieg.
Sounds like a Viking name, which is funny to me.
That's German.
What's going on, Super Cooper? Away. That's what I meant to say, not Viking, German. Right, got that thumbs up. Okay, Classy. What's going on, Classy? Thank you for stopping out. It's Jarman with an A, not an E. What's going on, Mac? Thank you for stopping out, brother. Send this out to Facebook real quick.
What's going on, fellas?
What's up, B Money?
B is here. What's going on, man? Hanging in there?
Not much, man.
Yo, man, I don't know how you do it, B. I need to learn from the master, son. I can't take care of these kids, bro.
What's going on over there, man?
My kids, man. My daughter, just terror. She's breaking stuff now. Like, my son broke TVs. My daughter's breaking furniture. Like, all the doors, all my entertainment system is ripped off. I got to literally prop them up. You know what I'm saying? She throws all her toys down the stairs. This thing where she cries and cries for her sippy cup of juice and water, and then she gets it and proceeds to spit it out all over the place. Trying to corral this little 16-month-old baby, and it's crazy. And my son just stresses me out every time he gets stuck. Like, I got him hooked on the Xbox. He's playing these Lego games, and the Lego games have like little quick time events where if he's playing like Marvel, I got him. At first, I had bought him Marvel superheroes. When I brought the game home for Christmas, actually inside the case was Marvel Avengers. And I didn't realize it for a long time because I only seen Iron Man flying around. I was like, okay, it's Iron Man. Iron Man's on the cover. I didn't think nothing of it till I saw all the other Avengers. And then I realized, holy smoke, this is the wrong game. So I took it back and got him Marvel superheroes, which he's been thoroughly enjoying. And Jurassic World. In Jurassic World, he gets super frustrated. I can literally hear him upstairs crying and just like completely pissed off. Like, what is going on? And he's struggling fighting. I think it's Jurassic Park 2, where they have to fight like the Allosaurus or something. Bro, it's just nuts, man. It's crazy. Give me one sec.
He's crying to that Allosaurus right now. Oh, God. I can't do this.
I can hear him in the background now, man. Something's going on over there.
Yeah. All right. Really excited. Lots of big stuff going on at Tick right now. So pumped getting people going.
Yeah. I'm excited as well. Excuse me. Yeah, no, but my son, he just be throwing fits. So I'm up there playing this game like I'm playing God of War, rapidly doing quick time events, pressing A, trying to show him what to do. You know, and ever since I started helping him, now it's a habit. Every time something goes wrong, he comes downstairs crying, "Dad, please help me." It is terrible because I reject him a lot. Like, I'm like, no. Like, if you get mad, like if you turn the game off, take a break. Like, you got to figure it out. That's the whole point. You'll figure it out. But then he's like crying and he wants my help, and I'm like, a son who wants his father's help. How can I reject that? So, I'll help him. I'm a sucker, I guess. But anyway. We got a good show tonight. We're going to try to decipher what's going on with the big digital announcement. We're going to talk about Mr. Boutte. We're working over at Microsoft. And what's going on? Sounds like a good show. I want to thank everybody for stopping out. I'm your host, KRSKL, with B Money and Anchorman, and we are ready to rock and roll. So here we go. Welcome to the Inner Circle Podcast, the premier podcast for Xbox. I'm your host, KRXKL, with B Money 101.
Hey, what's going on, everybody?
And Anchorman V.
Good evening, everybody.
And we are your Inner Circle. So I had a big discussion finale of Super Pod Shots. Again, I want to thank everybody for stopping out the other night. And I was trying to figure out exactly digital games could be happening over at Microsoft, because like literally everything you could do with digital games has been done. You know what I'm saying? You're giving out free games on Xbox. You're doing deals with gold on Xbox Live. You have all types of specials and discounts and publisher deals and everything you could think of with digital. You have a sort of game sharing with digital where we swap accounts. So it kind of leads me in a direction where I'm like, two things. Is either the coveted family share that they talked about with the original idea of Xbox, where you had like a family circle of people that you would share games with, or is digital trade-ins. And what made me think about that was, one, obviously they talked about family share with the initial idea of doing an all online console, and those were some of the positives to it. And then in another instance, not too long ago, Eric Greenberg and team sent out a marketing campaign to ask how fans would feel about digital trade-ins. And I don't know if guys remember that. It was sometime last year when they sent this out. And we were all talking about it, and people said it didn't make sense. How can you do a digital trade-in? It's not physical. And I said, easy. You just take 10% of whatever the game is. Like, even if the game is $60 and you hate the game and you traded it in for $6, obviously, because you just spent $60 on it. And let's say, like, for example, you bought the game, you missed the 2-hour return mark, or you played so many hours that you can no longer return it. So the only other option is to trade it in. 60 back, but you're going to get $6 for it, right? Because you bought the game for $60. So that sounds great. That's pretty cool. You know what I'm saying? It's not cool for the person who bought the game for $60 because you're not getting your money back, but it's cool because at least you're getting something through sale. There's no physical copy to it. So having a digital version of that particular game and being able to trade it in makes sense. But what's really cool is later on, when those games lose value, longer playing them, because we game share, we have hundreds of games. So I looked at it from a perspective that if you eliminate the free games you get because they have no value, maybe you eliminate some of the games you get depending on if it was on sale at the time that you purchased it, if they're able to. If you got a game that maybe was worth something at the time it purchased, like say, for example, you bought Grand Theft Auto at $60, but right now it's worth $29.99, you would get $3 for it. Like, you get 10% of the value of what it is. That's the way I would look at it. Now, knowing Microsoft, it'll probably be a lot smaller than 10%. But do you guys even think, no matter what the amount is, it's a good deal for fans?
I've debated a lot about this in the last few days with actually our new editor, Samuel Tolbert, who just joined the team. We've been talking about this for a long time, and we've been debating about two different formats for it. Either it's based on what you paid for it, or based on the current market value. And we ended up settling on whatever the current market value is for it, because for two reasons. One, if you do it with only $60 each time, no matter what the percentage is, it's not going to be exactly fair. But then the same, also on top of that, I look at it as if you do it the other way around and you do it based off of like, okay, let's say you do it more based on whatever the market value is now. Really, the worst case scenario is someone buys a game on a super sale, like where it's like $6 and it's really like $30, and like, oh no, you got more for that trade in because of what the current market value is. But those are kind of rare circumstances. I generally kind of came to the conclusion. I think ideally, 25% would be great for gamers, but I think likely more like 15. So you're like, for a $60 game, you might get a $10 credit, a little less than $10.
That's a lot.
I think that's the only thing you could go for, though, because like anything less than that, like if you told someone, "Hey, yeah, trade your game in for $5," like people are gonna be like, "Ugh."
How much do we get for trade-ins right now? I mean, for digital trade-ins right now.
Currently nothing, but I know what you're going to say. It's like something's better than nothing, but still, I think the sweet spot is about 15% of whatever the current market value is. But that's also assuming
Microsoft gets up that much.
Nah, I think that's all. That's also assuming that, like, okay. Actually, I think we need to talk about something else. There's another PC is actually dabbling right now with digital trade-ins right now. There's a website they're trying to compete with Steam called Robot Cache. What they're doing is they're kind of jumping onto the they're trying to jump on top of the whole cryptocurrency deal. They basically have their own currency, and when you trade in a game, you're getting trade credit at that particular store. Which trade credit is basically just more like a discount at this point. And I highly doubt Microsoft is going to give you real money that could be transferred outside of the Microsoft store. I highly doubt that.
Right, but that's what I'm saying. Look, the great thing about a trade-in through Microsoft is that Microsoft continues to make money.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Because it's a reinvestment back into their store.
Exactly.
But listen, you tell somebody we're going to give you 15% for their games, there will be empty libraries. People will be trading games in left and right. And I'm not saying that's not ideal. Microsoft is paying out. You have to put it to a point to where the value is acceptable, but not fair. Like the value can't be fair. You understand what I'm saying? As a business, it would probably hurt you. Because you had 35,
I
40 million
think you're
people.
overestimating this. I think you're overestimating how much of a deal this is. Basically, Microsoft already made the money off the initial sale. Like, they already made their cut on it. Basically, what they're doing is they're saying, hey, if you don't get to play this game anymore, and we're going to give you a discount. They give out discounts left and right. Like, that's basically how this is going to work. And, like, clearly you're going to have people who are going to game the system. Like, okay, so if let's say February 1st, they do this thing right now. People will probably trade in a bunch of their games, assuming they even apply to the people who already have those games, which I don't think. I just think it's suspicious it's going to be a catch to this.
Though. It's still a hit to Microsoft pockets, though.
Like, okay, think about it, though.
Microsoft got to cover that cost.
Yeah, but okay, look, think of it along this line. Dragon Age Inquisition and Mass Effect Andromeda. Yeah, you bought them for $60 at launch. How much are those games now? $20?
$5.
Maybe less? Like, we're talking 15% of $20. We're talking $2. Like, we're just like $2.50. Like, we're not talking anything significant here. $2.50. I've been waiting for $2.50. And like, yeah, initially there's going to be maybe a little bit of a loss, but you're going to make that up in consumer loyalty. Knowing that, like, going into next gen, if you knew that you could trade your games in digitally, would you pick anybody else if they were the only people who would do it? No.
If Microsoft do it, Sony is going to follow in a heartbeat. Sony's going to be pissed off.
That's what we say. We say Sony's going to follow, but we've also said Sony's going to follow with things like, change my username.
But they said they're doing it.
Said they hope you won't have to ask that question next to PlayStation Experience.
Listen,
that was a promise.
There's a lot of things that PlayStation fans might not want to acknowledge that Sony has stolen from Microsoft to improve their platform. Digital sales, digital trade-ins. Microsoft does that. Sony has no choice but to follow.
Where's backwards compatibility, dude? Like, we've been waiting how long now?
You'll see that in PS5. I guarantee you Sony does backwards compatibility in PS5.
Yo, PS4.
PS Now was going no. PS Now was not going anywhere. That thing's a failure at this point. They'll put BC in the PlayStation 5. You'll be able to somehow play all the PlayStation games from Generation 1 up, which will be insane and make the PlayStation 5 super enticing. But if Microsoft does digital trade-ins and Sony doesn't, bro, that is a massive incentive.
Yeah, it's just one of those things, like if it happens, then everybody will adopt it. You know what I mean? It's just one of those things where once it becomes a trend and everybody sees, how big of an impact it'll have on your platform, then everyone will adopt it. You know what I mean? You'll see Sony do it and Nintendo do it. But in regards to like the whole discount thing, I think anywhere between 15-25%, like Anchor was kind of saying, I think is a good amount. I think the one thing they could do to kind of protect themselves is that they would actually the user and Microsoft should actually track your purchases. So as you should have like a digital wallet, and anytime you make a purchase, it'll show whatever you pay for that particular game or whatever, and then what the potential trade-in value is for once you're done with it and when you try to trade it in. And I think that's probably the best route if they were to go with digital trade-ins, just because you kind of know up front, like, hey, I paid $20 for this, I'm getting 15% back if I trade it in once I'm done with it. So then it kind of gives you an incentive, like, okay, maybe that's not worth it. I can, maybe get it on a sale or whatever the case may be. But there's a lot of different angles they can go at it. But I think that's probably the safest and most user friendly, in my opinion.
Like, to do what GameStop does. Like, when you pick up a new game at GameStop, they're like, hey, if you trade this back in by this certain date, we'll give you a blank and trade credit for it.
Right.
Like, guaranteed.
Now, I like that idea. I think we said that before. Within 7 days, we give you a good portion back. But you got to understand, look, Microsoft makes money off of third party from them buying things digital out of their store. And then Microsoft makes money off their first party games, pretty much whole profit. So if they're getting a certain percentage, whatever that percentage is, which I'm sure is not as large as most people think, getting a trade-in on a third-party game is probably going to be a lot less value than maybe an exclusive. I think it would probably work that way as well. And then I think if you trade in games within 7 days, let's say if you have a game, you beat it within 2 days or 3 days, you got a lot of people now rushing through games trying to get some sort of discount or profit back so they can invest in the next game. So I don't know, man. I think that announce digital trade-ins, that would be humongous for them. How they do, hopefully they put out something that makes sense. And as of late, they've been really consumer friendly and really smart with the way they're handling their product when it comes to consumers and their customer service. So I think it's planned for it. But let's look at the other spectrum. What if it's not that, but it is the actual game sharing with a select few people on your friends list? Now, that was that you can have, let's say, maybe up to 5 people in a circle that you could share this game with. Now, the idea was that only one person at a time, and no 2 people could play the same game together except you and the person that's borrowing it, because it's your game and they're borrowing it. So you could play, let's say, for example, Gears of War co-op. You could play that, but you couldn't add a 3rd or 4th person to play 4-player co-op from your circle. Now, once that person's done with the game, it goes back in a rotation and somebody else can buy it. My thing and my concern is the impact something like this could have on video games as a whole. Because I know for a fact, if I got 4 other people with me in a circle of games that can go on rotation, especially single-player games, bro, that changes of things.
So that's why I think the digital trade-ins has a more likely chance than that, at least with that system. then you can really game the system. At least Microsoft's making some money off of it, of a sale.
Yeah, that was actually my concern when they were talking about the whole game sharing thing. It was, that could have a pretty big, negative impact on the gaming industry. You know what I mean? If you have 5 people who share the same game, that's 4 people who didn't buy the game. You know what I mean? So if you start taking that upon, millions and millions of users, you know what I mean? That's way less games, way less people buying games. You know what I mean? So we just look at PUBG. You know what I mean? We know that there's 3 million people who played it or whatever. So if let's just say 3 million people bought it, you know what I mean? But if you divide that by 5, that's a big chunk of change that they're missing out on. You know what I mean? So it could definitely have a negative impact. But the one thing I did kind of notice is that they still have it where you can set up, like your family members on Xbox. So like if you are game sharing or you just want to add family members to your Xbox to your account, you can do that.
Mm-hmm.
And it's something that I would actually like, because I have 3 Xboxes in my house. One for myself and then 2 for my sons or whatever. So games like Halo or like Gears or whatever, I have to buy 2 copies anyway. You know what I mean? And we're all in the same house, so it'd be nice if if you were on the same network, it would kind of notice that you have 3 users on the same network, and it would allow 3 users to use the one game or whatever. But it could be a positive or a negative. I mean, it just depends on how they try to implement it.
You know what? I didn't even think about that. That might be huge, because that's a gripe that I have right now. My OG Xbox to my son, he's upstairs playing Lego Star Wars right now, and I had to get Game Pass because I have all these little indie games and downloadable games that I got from Xbox Live, and because I got it from Xbox Live, like Pirates of the Caribbean, Lego Pirates of the Caribbean, and Lego something else or whatever, and these little indie games that he could play, but because I'm already game sharing in New York, he can't get access to those games because then I'm not game sharing on that console. So literally I have to buy him games or buy him Xbox Game Pass, which recently just expired. So right now, the only thing he's playing is I bought him Lego Jurassic World, Lego Marvel Superheroes, and then I downloaded him some demos of Lego games because he's just in love with these Lego games. And I never thought about if you're on the same network, if you have multiple Xboxes, I think that would be great as well, because now you no longer have to figure about all these other platforms that you own, and that actually could be more viable than anything.
Yeah, I think that could be huge, man. Like, if there's multiple people that we see, on social media, in group chats and things like that, who have multiple Xboxes, and if you have to be, happen to be game sharing with someone outside of the home, it's just more content that you have to buy, on separate Xboxes. It would be nice to be able to share that same content, in the same household. So
yeah, I mean, it's don't get me wrong with a lot of other people. We're not arguing necessarily that this is something that shouldn't happen. It's just it's very unlikely, namely because it's Microsoft that's losing out on real potential sales. Like, okay, game sharing, you're limited to just 1, and you make it a pain in the ass to do to change, and so you put limitations on that. But like I said, I'm not sure it's necessarily that. But like I said, I think if they are doing digital trade-ins, you can guarantee that you're going to see some changes to how game sharing is working now. Like I am dead certain Microsoft will start cracking down on it.
Yeah,
but it'll be very subtle at first.
That would be a good point.
Do you think Microsoft changes their policies on game sharing if they do digital trade-ins? I guess because then it allows you to buy more games, right?
Yep, it allows you to buy more games, but you can trade it in. If you don't like them, you can trade it in. Because that's how
trade it in, and it gives you more money.
I just did a poll. We had a couple hundred people respond to it, and it's actually pretty even, honestly, between people who want digital trade-ins versus game sharing. I think game sharing ultimately won out, but it was pretty close. So I mean,
game sharing is great. Honestly, it's really opened up my library to some things that I probably wouldn't play. That my homeboy plays that's real niche, and then there's other things where we just collab on stuff. Like right now, like I said, I picked up Dragon Ball. He's picking up Monster Hunter, but I was so disappointed in the Dragon Ball beta. I'm thinking about getting a refund, just buying Monster Hunter and have him pick up something else. So I'm on the fence about that. But yeah, man, I don't know what Microsoft is going to announce. I hope whatever they do announce is huge. It's impactful because it just seems like right now, as much as people want to hate on Microsoft, they continue to be winning at this point, in my opinion. PUBG, Xbox One X, when it comes to, what are you playing best on? They got the refund policy in place. You hear all this buzz about new Fables and Perfect Darks and new studios. There's a lot happening at Xbox, and if they drop a bomb like digital trade-ins or family sharing, it really, really makes the console even more enticing, and it just goes to show you the direction that Phil and Mr. Boutte are going to be taking Microsoft. I think that's really cool.
And Microsoft just has to get past January. If they can just get past January without any sort of scandal or BS, I'll be happy. Because traditionally, bad news happens in January.
No, bad news happens in like the first quarter of the year from them. You get cancellations.
January is the month. Like that's the worst part of it. March, they normally show up in full force. So that's the thing. March is the one that normally come out and they say, "Okay, we're doing blank, 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 blank." And like it's
whoever announces the whatever it is going to be for digital distribution. I hope it's just that one person. Microsoft has an issue with letting multiple executives talk about a product, and you just get a message that's just discombobulated. Because everybody believes it's one thing or it's a certain way, and you're just getting all this information from multiple people, and it never really times. That was one of the downsides to Microsoft is their PR and communication. But for the most part, a lot of their stuff is always, you could say, trying to put the right foot forward. You know what I'm saying? Like there's great intention. It's just how it's communicated that they have a lot of issues with. All right, moving forward. I forgot I was going to talk about something else, but I can't think of it. Maybe it'll come back to me during this conversation. But listen, let me get your thoughts on Matt Booty taking Phil Spencer's place as the head of Microsoft Studios. Apparently, I was very confused about who was in charge of Microsoft Studios, and I had a conversation with our Samuel Talbert, excuse me, and he explained to me that Shannon Loftus was in charge of Microsoft Studios, but in Microsoft Studios work with third party. And when working with third party, I started to recognize some of the things and reasons why she reacts to the things that you talk about when it comes to particular games. So like, it's rare you see Shannon respond to things like Gears of War or Halo. You know what I'm saying? But if you talk about Recore or Super Lucky Tail, she's on it. Why? Because that's Microsoft Studios working with third-party publishers. And those are the games that she's brought in. Like the time that Ryan McCaffrey was killing. What game was he killing? Super Lucky Tail? He was killing Super Lucky Tail on Twitter and sort of discouraging people. And she felt really offended at that and told him, or basically said to him, why don't you just let people play? Like, you don't have to down the game and things like that. Ryan sort of being defensive, saying, he apologized. He's not trying to down the game or anything or whatever. It's just, he just didn't think the game was a good game, whatever. And then she got killed by the fans of her trying to put pressure on the media, yada, yada, yada. But, at the end of the day, it goes to show you that those are the things that she's worked on and brought to Xbox. You know what I'm saying? That's her department. So literally, this freaking chair that Phil Spencer was in charge of has literally been open all this time, or Phil's been doing 2 jobs, basically. Running Microsoft and being the head of Microsoft Studios. And I'm sure that's a lot of pressure for one man. So now being promoted to VP of gaming for Microsoft, he's now gone ahead and promoted Matt Booty, who was running the Minecraft game and doing a swell job with that, and put him in charge of games basically for Microsoft Studios. So he's now in charge of 343, the Coalition, Turn 10, and anything when it comes to budgets, deadlines, and even the development of new studios or bringing in new IPs. I think this is a big, big deal. This man has a lot of power, and it is the one that's going to set the tone for the future of first-party libraries for Microsoft. What is your thoughts?
And he's already come out and he's had a statement. He said his whole philosophy when it comes to studios is let them work, stay out of it, let them do what they got to do. And I mean that's great. Like because Microsoft has a tendency of meddling when it comes to games, and this is an opportunity for them to really set a good precedent, and especially considering Matt Booty has a very good track record. I mean, hey, they just came out with an announcement today. They had sold 177 million copies of Minecraft.
74 million monthly users.
That's ridiculous numbers.
That's insane.
That's insane.
Just to think about how people laughed at Microsoft for spending $2 million?
$2 billion.
$3 billion?
$2 billion.
Spent $2 billion craft. You don't think they made that back by now and then some?
Actually, well, I remember there was an article. It was like 3 months later, so they already earned their money back in 3 months.
Yeah,
bro, they talking about Minecraft movies, Minecraft toys. I see them toys in Best Buy.
Yep,
them things are everywhere. They're like roaches, bro. Those little Minecraft boxes. You see them all over the place. Kids pick them up and leave them all over the store. The game right now. The ironic part is Minecraft is killing the game, and yet I can't find nobody who plays Minecraft. Isn't that weird?
Man, no, I play Minecraft.
That's because you're a weirdo.
I play Minecraft.
You're the weirdos out there that play Minecraft. There's no one on my friends list that plays Minecraft. 74 million people play Minecraft, bro. I have 400 people in my friends list. Nobody plays it.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely one of those things where, because it is so many places, you can play it on pretty much any device that's out there. You know what I mean? So I think a lot of it has to do with mobile. I mean, you'll see a lot of kids playing it too. Like my kids were playing it pretty heavy for a while. They're actually on playing PUBG and Fortnite right now, but they're pretty heavy into Minecraft story mode. You know what I mean? So they're pretty big into it. They're just gotten a little older, so they moved on to other things. But it's, Minecraft was one of those phenomenons that just came and never went. You know what I mean? It's still here, still going strong, and people are enjoying it, obviously, with 74 million users a month.
Microsoft made a good move. They picked up Mojang, or whatever you want to call it, Mojang. And it's funny because Mojang falls into the same category as 343, the Coalition. They're never going to make another game. You're never going to see Mojang make another game besides Minecraft. Influences like Cobalt or whatever, from third party or whatever, like some side project, but Mojang is going to work on Minecraft forever. I just find that funny. Microsoft only buys one-dimensional studios, financially anyway. So yeah, man. Listen, we know about all the rumors and the talks and confirmations from certain people. None from Microsoft. We won't get any confirmations from Microsoft about Fable or Playground or anything like that until E3. But let's just say, based off what we read recently from Eurogamer, the guys over at Digital Foundry, they had a conversation with the guys over at Playground. because they were doing the video for Forza Horizon 3 and talking about all the Xbox enhancements for the Xbox One X version. And in that process, they had a conversation about their new studio, and somebody, probably who wasn't supposed to say anything, wind up saying something, according to Eurogamer, that they were working on the new Fable. They were hiring up to 200 people. And I said that I feel like that is complete Microsoft influence. Like, that money isn't something that's coming from Playground. You know what I'm saying? Because that IP, Forza Horizon, is a Microsoft IP. Microsoft's taking it as a second party studio, but they're not under contract. Playground is still an independent developer. So where are they getting the money to hire 200 more people for a new project? The only other people I can think of is Microsoft to work on Fable. And that's a UK-based studio besides Studio Gobo, which could be working on Perfect Dark with the Coalition, which sort of makes sense. So it says to me that Microsoft is doing something. Matt Booty being in place as now the head of letting studios do what they do. I hope a studio decides to do something different. And I hope when Rare is done with CFDs that they have a smaller team working on some of these platformers that people have been begging for forever. You know, everybody thought Ukulele was going to be the next Banjo-Kazooie. It didn't turn out to be exactly just that, but it wasn't a bad game. But Microsoft has those IPs, and they should definitely figure out what they're going to do with them. So I hope Matt Booty does a good job, and I definitely want to get him on the show without question.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see, you know, how he kind of comes in and, you know, either lets things kind of play out or if he jumps in there and try to shake things up as far as, you know, what we see in the future. Because I think the one thing that we've all been asking for is to see, you know, what these other studios could do as far as Turn 10 and, you know, 343 and the Coalition. You know what I mean? What else do they have in their bag? So, it'll be interesting to see if he kind of lets them spread their wings and, you know, in the next 5 years, we see something new from those studios.
Anchor, that was your crib that had them sirens?
Nope, that wasn't me.
Oh, okay. I was going to say, you live in the hood, son?
No, likely people still slipping and sliding over the ice here. So if it was me, that would be the reason.
Oh, that's hilarious. No, but I agree. They definitely need more studios. We all know that. They seem to be with Phil in the position that he's in a position where they don't have to answer to nobody anymore. We talked about this all generation where we were like, it just does not feel like Xbox. It feels like they're being restrained by Microsoft. I kept saying that Microsoft is holding Xbox back. You know what I'm saying? It always felt like that. Whether Phil had to answer to whoever was over him at the time, they weren't getting the budgets for marketing. They weren't getting the budgets for games. There was just something that just was off. I don't know if it was the initial transition because they were trying to go into this mobile first, cloud first world and realize that didn't work because the phones died out. I'm just glad that Microsoft came to their senses and realized how important gaming is. We no longer have to hear about sell-offs. We no longer have to hear about how the board doesn't want the gaming division. And with Phil at the helm as VP of all of gaming for both Xbox and Windows, you can see big investments happening, big leadership coming in and the right moves being made. I think Microsoft just needs to continue to invest in the things that works for them. Harness your Xbox Live, you know, your co-op, your multiplayer. Concentrate on big single-player experiences. Don't Japan, because you're never going to get them. That's how I feel at this point. Don't worry about Japan. You're never going to get them. You know, build your own RPGs, build your own Western RPGs. Take advantage of the things that made Xbox great. You know, build games like Mass Effect, build games like Knights of the Old Republic. They could be new IPs, but you can make them choice-driven games. You know, build games like The Witcher, bring back Fable and reboot it and make it similar in some sort of way because people love that game. You know, so if they can harness that, market leader in power, I think it puts them in a very strong position going forward. A very, very strong position. Because, again, I said this on Super Pod Shots, and why I felt it was really important for Microsoft to be in a position of power when it comes to hardware is because they don't control the world. They don't have the influence that Sony has in, Eastern Europe and Asia, in all the countries on that side of the Western Hemisphere. You know what I'm saying? They don't, I'm at the Eastern Hemisphere. They don't control that. So what they have to do is be able to make sure that their hardware produces the best third-party content. More incentive to want to purchase their platform on top of whatever they're developing and doing as first party. Because we all know Sony has a great library of games that people enjoy, single-player experiences. But if you give them the power advantage too, it sort of makes your console a little bit more neglected and a little bit more obsolete in countries that have no interest in picking up the Xbox in the first place. So giving yourself an advantage with third party, I think, helps it worldwide, and it also helps it here in the States. Try to do going forward. I know people say power doesn't matter, but for Microsoft, I think it needs to. And that's just my opinion on it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, with Microsoft, at least going forward, I definitely do agree that they need to really keep this power narrative, especially for the end of this generation and into the next one, because this is their niche. This is their thing. Like they can own the power narrative and do so with distinction. Like it has gotten to this point now where perception, people are going to believe Xbox is synonymous with power. And so the next one, even if it isn't more powerful, even if it's just a tiny little bit, people will remember it. But at the same time, again, I don't think it's a permanent solution, though. They do need to have their own first-party work.
Absolutely. I don't disagree with you. First party is important, but I think Microsoft recognizes the power advantage has helped them. It's really put them in a brighter light. It's probably gotten them some new sales that they weren't getting with the Xbox One S and the original Xbox. I can tell you that right now. And with the Bitcoin situation and the crypto coin and the price of PC parts, at least GPUs and CPUs or whatever is going up, it's skyrocketing or double the price. It just makes the Xbox platform even more enticing for guys who don't want to spend X amount of dollars on hardware where you're getting or close to ultra to max settings on your console. Now, you're not going to get those frames. I do recognize the shortfallings of the Xbox One X for all the PC guys out there that's listening. I do understand where you're coming from with the 60 frames per second and the impact that has on certain games. But at the end of the day, if the quality is there, if the game is running and the frames are locked, it's really all about the game. As console gamers, I've never played a lot of games at 60 frames per second. It's always been 30 for me, so I don't see much difference, except for when I do see a game jump from 30 to 60. Then you really see the difference in the impact that it has, especially on shooters and racers. So I do respect that. But when it comes to RPGs or action-adventure games and stuff like that, I know the fidelity is way more fluid at 60, but I don't mind 30. And for me, that's acceptable. I can accept that until next generation, obviously, when we expect more power. Again, when they come out with their next platform in 2021, which is when I think they'll drop the next Xbox, I think it'll be the most powerful console on the market for $499 once again. And I think a big surprise at E3 this year may be VR, finally, or either next year. One or the other, but we're going to get VR on the Xbox One X before this generation is up.
Mm-hmm. I don't know. I feel like with VR in particular, I feel like this is kind of like a last gasp. Personally, I mean, because it's the biggest issue with VR has been, where are the VR specific games? Where are those must own games? Where not experiences, at least as far as Sony and a lot of other VR groups are selling it. We're talking about full-fledged, this is a game built for VR, and we're going to play it on VR only. And I don't think we've really had that experience. A lot of people are really waiting for Moss, hopefully, to be that experience. But beyond that, I mean, we haven't seen that full-fledged AAA support just yet. Everyone's still kind of dipping their toe in the market, and I feel like this year is kind of like the make or break year. And I think Microsoft coming out and saying, "Hey, we're going to do it," could definitely help, at least in the short-term perception. But in the long term, I'm not really sure whether or not that's the smartest move.
Yeah, I'm not too sure if we'll see anything from Microsoft in regards to VR or even AR this generation. I think that's probably something that they'll hold off until that technology matures a little bit more, and then they'll try to stick their toe in the water and see if they can make something happen with it. I think for them, at least in my opinion, it would be smart to kind of stay away from any additional hardware right now, and just kind of harness all the power that you have with the X and just put out great games. You know what I mean? Kind of get back some goodwill with a lot of gamers who kind of left you and went to the other side. I'm still haven't jumped over yet. So just create some great content and then leave the additional peripherals and things like that until next gen.
Right. I agree. Listen, I'm not a fan of VR. Not saying that it's bad. Not saying that it's bad at all, but it's just not my thing. It's not my cup of tea. And going forward, I hope that if Microsoft does come out with some type of VR peripheral, it's affordable for one, and for two, they got it right, because they don't need another Kinect situation. Need it. You know what I'm saying? This is the one thing where I can say I'm kind of glad Microsoft didn't jump into the VR pool. And maybe that's been beneficial for Sony. And that's not to say that Sony hasn't had some really good VR games. There are some games on PSVR that are really good. You know what I'm saying? So I don't want to knock it, but at the same time, it's not something that I want to spend an additional $300 to $400 on. Especially after spending $400 or $500 on a platform. So I don't know if VR is the future. I don't think it's the future. People try to make it seem like it is, but in my opinion, it's not. I think for now, until we get to like some crazy dystopia, where we're actually in the game, you know what I'm saying? Like we really feel like we're actually in the game. VR could last, because right now it's just not at a point to where the technology is viable as its own separate device, which is really the goal. Where VR is so realistic that you could put the headset on and actually having the console. You know what I'm saying? So hopefully Microsoft continues to stay out of that arena. But I wouldn't be surprised if they do, with all the work they've been doing with HoloLens and all the mixed VRs for their Windows devices. Mm-hmm. All right. So Crackdown 3 has a release date for March 31st. Obviously, I think that is just one of those things where you see on Amazon.
Since then, they have changed it to April 30th.
They push it to April 30th?
Supposedly, according to Amazon now. So that's really more of a
placeholder.
Yeah. Like they do placeholder dates all the time. Like, for a perfect example, God of War is currently sitting at a release date of, I think it's May 31st, or it's June 31st. And the only reason they have that is because they promised it was coming out early 2018. And those are literally the last possible day it could even be remotely considered early. So, I mean...
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I think that Microsoft with Crackdown can't be successful unless they change this mayhem thing. I'm just not a fan of the mayhem thing. You know what I'm saying? It's just not my cup of tea. I know there's fans out there that like it. I don't know if there's a million people that would like it. What did Agents of Mayhem sell?
Not very well.
I think it didn't crack 1 million. I think it was like 500,000 or something like that.
Wasn't there some news that dropped about like them closing their studio or something?
No, but yeah, Volition, they actually laid off a bunch of people.
Yeah, and so I mean that should give you a pretty good indication.
Yeah, right, like when I went to E3 this year, I got a chance to first person I bumped into, which was dope, was Ken Lobb. As soon as I walked in to the Microsoft booth area, the first thing I saw was Crackdown. It was playing on screen. I looked at it and it looked pretty cool, but it wasn't what I imagined it to be. Based on previews of the multiplayer. And I don't want to bash the game because, I'm not an Xbox game basher. But the game just looked dull. Like, I really wanted the game to look vibrant and neon and really give me a sense of like, I don't know, like a cyberpunk feel. You know how like Blade Runner is, or like Ghost in the Shell? I always pictured Crackdown being that way with like neon lights and giant signs, and you're running through the city, and it really gave you a futuristic feel. But when you play the game, it just looks so dull. Like not the game itself, gameplay wise, is dull, but the image looks so dull. It wasn't as colorful and as vibrant as I thought it was going to be based on the initial previews that we had seen. And he got around to playing it. And what I wanted the game to be, and this is just because these are my expectations. I always put high expectations on the games that I play for Microsoft in general. I don't know why I do this, but I expected the game to be similar to Grand Theft Auto, to like GTA, where you had missions you would be hired to do, and you would have to execute those missions using your abilities and powers or whatever that you get to a boss. No. Game is exactly how the first game was. Go to an area, kill a bunch of soldiers. And I'm like, this is boring. Like, I thought, like, if you're playing with a bunch of people, it may be fun, but try doing that for 5 hours. That's going to get boring really, really quickly. And I don't know if that's going to survive in 2018. So I really hope that they're making changes to the way they do things with the game. Kill a bunch of enemies and wreak havoc until the boss comes out and then fight the boss, to something more streamlined with an actual objective. Go to point A, kill this person, yada, yada, have a cutscene, go to this area, take over, one of those type of things. Because I think if they continue to put Crackdown on the path that it's on, I don't know if it's going to be successful for Microsoft. That might be Microsoft's first flop of the year.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of where I was at. Just from when I kind of showed at E3, I thought the game definitely needed to take a different direction. Even if they just went more like Saints Row, and just had, just more goofy fun, or, something like that, where, you could just play co-op and just have a bunch of fun, run around, do missions, things like that. I think the whole mayhem scene is kind of dead, and it's that time has come and gone, and not too many people are kind of checking for that type of game. And I'm not too sure how much they've invested in the Crackdown, but you would think that it would be a lot, especially with them trying to implement the cloud gen stuff. And I think there's multiple studios working on this game, so you definitely don't want it to come out and nobody pick it up, and it's in a bargain bin 3 weeks later. So hopefully they did make some solid changes to the game, kind of switch up the format a little bit, just give it a little soft reboot and reintroduce it. Either at E3 and kind of release it as a summer release, or let it release sometime in 2019 after it's gone through its makeover.
Right.
I'm not sure if releasing in early 2018 is the right thing to do if drastic changes haven't been made.
Right. I don't know. Anchor?
That's a tough call. Part of me is like, okay, this game has to come out early 2018. They have jerked us around way too much on this game. Like, I sit here and I think about that. I'm like, yeah, I feel like the game needs to be better. But I think if maybe they try to retool it a little bit in terms of how it's presented, like maybe even kind of doing the staggered launch first and be like, okay, you can do, I don't know, maybe not single. maybe if you launched it like okay, the first month you launch it and it's just like absolute chaos, and you're running through and doing that kind of mode first, and then you launch the story maybe a month later. I don't know. That's just such a. But then like I don't know because I don't know exactly what the issues are necessarily, or rather what they could do to fix them. So I mean,
the issue
really
that they
hard in
have
that
with
respect.
the issue that they have with Crackdown is that it's an old way to play. You know what I'm saying? Like Crackdown, you got to think about Crackdown's history and playing it at E3. I was really high on Crackdown based on what I initially saw and how they kind of demoed the co-op where one guy could be positioned in one area, another guy could be doing something else, and another guy could be doing something else, which then allows you to take down a boss cramped up in, I'm saying, take out the whole building. Then you find out that really the destruction is online only, which sort of makes sense. Okay, so really it's not about the whole building because you can't. So that was a terrible, preview or whatever. You can only do it in versus mode in co-op, in PvP. So then I'm like, okay, fine, whatever. Now I'm thinking to myself, man, they got to change the way Crackdown was. Crackdown 1 was successful back in the day on Xbox 360, but that was such a long time ago. Crackdown 2 was a failure because it was a rush job. It wasn't done by the original creators, and they got that game out in like 8 months' time, and it was a bust. It was a flop. So you can't then turn around the game and it follow the same structure of the first game that is old. If you look at 343, what they've done with Halo is improve the speed of the game. If they're able to improve the speed of the game to what they believe needs to be played today, especially the way gamers are playing, you have to upgrade Crackdown. You can't leave it back in 2006. That game as well. You got to bring it forth to the future. And the future is games that are like GTA. Big open world games. You look at GTA Online and how successful that is. That is the model to follow. You know what I'm saying? And should have had it where you play a super cop trying to take down these drug lords scattered or criminal lords scattered throughout the city and bit by bit remove them from their territory until you as a super cop have saved the entire city. But in the process, it should have been built in a mission-based system like Grand Theft Auto. You know what I'm saying? You're going from point A to point B. You can't enter certain areas yet because of, the gang overrun the city. So one by one, you have to take back those areas until you're able to soften the harder areas because you have more law enforcement in parts of the city. You know what I'm saying? And then you could play co-op and figure out all the other stuff of how to approach different bosses pent up in different buildings with different defensives, to protect themselves. That would have been genius. And then you could put co-op. But just running around, picking up cars and shooting guns and all like through a whole city. And that city's big as hell, bro. Like when I was on top of a building and you look at the whole city, it's huge. After a while, that's going to get boring, and I just don't see how it can make it. So I really hope they're working hard at changing a lot of stuff, and they take the critiques of everything that fans had said and really change it for the better.
I don't know, mate. But what if they kind of came out and released like a classic version, like as a way to kind of get around it? So like if they came out and said, okay, this is the old school version. You can play this now, or we could do it. The real version comes out in a month. If it has to come out though. That's the big issue. It has to come out because if they delay this anymore, it's just.
So what month do you think it comes out in, Anchor?
Do I think it comes out, or do I want it to come out in?
Yeah, what month do you feel it should come out with? Since Sea of Thieves comes out at the end of March.
I think honestly, late May, early June probably be best. That way, because if you play it off of June, you can kind of work off of E3. Because what'll happen a lot of the times, the game will drop like right before E3, and you can use E3 basically just a huge promotion period, and that's it. Like Arkham Knight did that. But it really kind of depends on how they go about doing that. That's the thing.
I don't know. It's definitely a tough situation with that particular game. I think that the game definitely needs to come out early.
Yeah, I think if you release it in April, though, then it just kind of get drowned out by Sea of Thieves. You know what I mean? Like,
well, Sea of Thieves is already in March. That's the thing. It's
it comes out late
my
March,
birthday.
Though. It comes
out late. It comes on my birthday.
So
Crackdown is not.
I was just gonna say if you release it anytime in April, because I think once Sea of Thieves comes out, you know what I mean, people are gonna be riding that wave for a minute. It's gonna have a lot of hype behind it. A lot of people are gonna be streaming it. You know what I mean? A lot of people are. It's gonna be on Twitch. It's gonna be on Mixer. It's gonna be on everything. Like a lot of people are gonna, you're gonna be seeing it everywhere. I think there will be a lot of promotion behind that. And if you release Crackdown first 2-3 weeks in April, nobody's gonna pay attention to that game.
I don't think
it's not gonna get marketed properly. Nothing. So.
I was just gonna say that I don't think Crackdown is of the big holiday release.
No, I don't think
That's
so.
That's why
either.
I feel like it needs to launch it early.
Like if they have to delay it September, at the very latest, has got to be September. Because I agree with you. That game cannot come out in the busy season. It has to come out before then.
Yeah, I mean
they do September. There's not a lot of competition.
Yeah, they always release a game in September or like late August, so that would make sense. You know, I mean, if it falls there, that give them enough time to hopefully, make whatever changes they make. They need to make or whatever. Because I mean, we just haven't heard much about it since it's kind of went in the shadows. So,
right, I agree. Well, that's it for tonight's show. We covered a few topics, man. We will be back next week, Saturday at 10 p.m. Eastern, or try to make it between 10 p.m. Eastern if my kids don't destroy my house. We're going to do a Q&A right now. So for everybody in here, if you want to hang out with us and we'll have a conversation with the chat and answer a few questions or read some of the thoughts that you guys have on your mind. I want to thank everybody for stopping out. Make sure you give us a like, share it out to your friends, and let people know about the Premier Podcast, Tick Podcast on the TIC network. Make sure you tune in tomorrow. Iron Lord Podcast tomorrow at 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. These guys are hilarious. They get together and get a chance to talk about the latest. What?
1 p.m.
1 p.m. Oh.
No,
okay.
1 p.m. You said 11 p.m.
Sorry. Well, I'm sorry. I meant to say 11 a.m., but it's 1 p.m. now. Okay, they switched back to 1 p.m. Sorry. I forgot they were doing that for football season. So make sure you tune in and check out the Iron Lord Podcast, great podcast that we have on the network. Great group of guys, very funny and entertaining. Yeah, man. That's it. I think Xbox is doing really well. I think the team here is very excited about it. I can't wait to see more and hear more. We're going to reach out to a lot of executives over the next couple of months and developers over the next couple of months to get back to doing what Tick does best and get those scoops and get that information for you guys from executives over at Microsoft and developers from gamers, from games within the industry. So I'm going to go ahead and end the show for the MP3 crowd. And make sure you keep an eye out for the new channel, which I will get a chance to discuss right now during the Q&A session. So I'm your host, I'm your host, KORX Kal-El, the last son of Planet Xbox with Anchorman V and B Money 101, and we are off this planet. You guys have a great night. Peace. Okay. Again, I want to thank everybody for stopping out, man. Really appreciate it. Shout out to everybody that came out, man. Even the people who were going back and forth. Big shout out to Infurious One, Super Cooper, Dope, Foul, Edge, Dizzy, Blaze, ABA, Andrew Wilkins. Andrew Wilkins is like our resident PlayStation guy that trashes all our converse. Like, not, I won't say he trashes, but rebuts everything we talk about positive about Xbox, but loves coming to this channel because we talk positive about Xbox. Like, it's weird. Like, he doesn't like all the other Xbox shows because they lie and they trash and like they overhype Xbox or whatever. And he feels we kind of talk the truth, even though we overhype some stuff, but at least we're honest with what we're talking about. So he comes here, yet every comment is a negative comment towards the Xbox because he's a PlayStation fan. It's funny, man. Some of the fans we have that listen to us are hilarious. But shout out to Andrew Wilkins for stopping in. Ball, no doubt. Thank you for stopping in as well. Brian Reynolds and Alex PSX, thank you for stopping out as well. Irrelevant Native, what's up, brother? Thank you for stopping out.
What up, Native?
Go ahead and leave your questions in the comment section, and I will go ahead and fans get that out to the team and try to answer a few questions. Listen, a lot of people think I'm quitting Tick Podcast.
He is. He's quitting.
I don't know why. Like, I never put that out there. Listen, you know, the thing I'm trying to do here, and it's unfortunate that we actually lost a few people. People were a little upset that I finished Super Pod Shots last night. And I truly am humbled that people believe that the combination of Super Pod Shots and Tick Podcast is like the end-all be-all of shows, of a combination of shows. That is like one of the most humbling compliments that I can take in a plethora of people on YouTube who talk about video games. So I am very humbled and very appreciative of the support. Me as a podcaster, my podcasting, days or anything like that, I'm not leaving Tick Podcasts, anything like that or whatever. What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to expand the network that is Tick Network. We have a lot of great people on our team, and we have a lot of great shows. And Tick Podcast obviously is the premier podcast and probably the number one show which gets the most views on this channel because of so many great Xbox fans that support us. But there's a lot of other shows out there that do really great. Multiverse shows up every week on time. These guys have great conversations about things that are both game related and outside the spectrum of gaming. You have Fate, Nick, Mamacita, Crunk Girl, Dallas. These guys over there are doing a 2XP show and they upload it here, the Tick Network. And they work tirelessly and they joke and it's a little raunchy and it's funny. And then you have Iron Lords and these group of guys that all are so cool with each other and like a true friendship on the Iron Lord podcast. And then these guys are just a ball of energy and a ball of laughs. Like, these guys deserve as much attention as Tick. And I just want them to shine the way Tick shines to all the people who listen. So it's hard for me to see that and then want to do something else, because then I would be overlapping them with Super Pod Shots, overlapping them with news updates, overlapping them with these little videos that I want to put out. And it will push so many other people to the side. And that's the reason why I'm kind of doing a so it both benefits Tick, benefits TICGN, benefits myself and her audience out there that loves that content, and bring them over the TIC so we can have more people in the chat, more people enjoying the shows that we put out and stuff like that. So no, I'm not leaving Tick. I'm just expanding the brand.
Don't listen to him. He'll be back.
First of all, don't listen to Anchor.
I guarantee you by the end of the year, you'll come crawling back with a revival of Super Pod Shots.
Never forget $3.99.
That's different, though.
And I won.
Microsoft
it was $4.99.
The reason, though.
Man, and anything that he says, he'll get it wrong, and it'll be your soul. Your soul will be gone forever.
I'm telling you, man, you'll be back. You'll be back. You can't help yourself.
So here we go.
You can't. You really can't. Something will happen, and you'll be like, "I have to do it."
Going anywhere. Take podcast for life. Xbox for life. Edge XL asks, "What are your thoughts on Darwin Project? Did you guys get a chance to play Darwin Project?"
Me personally, no interest.
I saw it. You know, when they showed off at E3, I believe it was last year. I thought it was pretty interesting. So I'm looking forward to checking it out. I think it's a great take on the survival genre. So I'm gonna check it out. It's got that crazy art style, and then with the shoutcaster made it look pretty interesting. So I'm gonna definitely check it out.
I got a chance to play Darwin Project this year at E3, and I remember I ripped the Microsoft employees apart. Like, it was crazy, and it happened because I wanted to play the game. There was a line that I didn't know there was a line. And the guy let me skip the line and play everybody. I thought people were standing on line to play Assassin's Creed on the Xbox One X. But apparently, it was like a line to get into all these games. It's like a row of games that you could play. And he got into an argument with them. And he knew that I was media because I have the media badge and it says media. And he was pissed. He was like, you're not letting me share my game to the world. He was like he had a foreign accent, so national dev. He's like, you're not letting me share my game to the world, and this man is media, and he can get it out there. And I was like, damn, man, I appreciate you think I'm IGN and all, but you know what I'm saying? Like, I can do my best or whatever. So I wind up playing the game, and basically the game is exactly like Hunger Games. It's exactly like Hunger Games. So you get into the game, you drop into the world, and you have no resources. And the map we played on was like an ice cold map. So you're running around the map and you're trying to find like weapons or whatever. You go into a house, there's a crate, you break open the crate, you take whatever you can get out of there, armor, gun, spare, bow and arrow, whatever's available. And then you get perks. And it's cool because when you open the perk, it lasts for a certain amount of time and you can see the footprints of people you're trying to hunt in the snow. Like, you could track them. And then if you look up, you can see their heat signature behind objects, behind houses, behind, boulders and all that stuff like that. And you track them, but it only lasts for a certain period of time. And basically, it's just you hunting down. The map gets smaller and smaller and getting resources. But the cool thing is, when it's mixed with a mixer, people who are watching can pick sides. You know what I'm saying? And they can help you. So they can send you items in the game. They could put drops in the game. Everybody on the map can see it. Y'all all can fight for it, or you can get to it first. And then there's an announcer that announces what's happening in the game. It's really, really great, and it's really, really fun for an indie game. But it is an indie game. And that's probably because with these Royal Rumble games nowadays, and it's not as big as like a PUBG or Fortnite where it's like 100 players or 50 players. It's more scaled down to like maybe 10, 15 players at the most. It's going to be hard to compete. It's definitely going to be hard to compete with those two games out. But the Darwin Project is very unique, and it's a good game. Wait. Let's see. What is going on? What am I missing?
Oh, a lot.
I'm missing.
I don't know.
Okay, here we go. No. Okay. I'm trying to scroll through some of the comments here. Can I have Cal's office if he quits? Sure. You can imagine whatever. He have my office if I quit.
Yeah, take it. Go down to Florida for it.
Yeah. Right? Super Cooper says, with the changes hitting YouTube, have you guys considered another platform for your content? No, because we're not affected.
We got
lucky.
real. Yeah, for those of you who don't know, YouTube's changed their whole system. It used to be, in order for you to get monetized, you had to have, it was 1,000. No, it was like 10,000 lifetime views on your channel. Then after that, it was that was pretty much it. They have changed that since then, and it is now you have to have at least 1,000 subscribers and you have to have 4,000 hours of watch time in the last year. I crunched the numbers on how much we had. I think we had something like, because I know our watch minutes was like 1.6 million watch minutes, and then it ended up boiling down to like 600,000 watch hours. So it was like, yeah, we're good,
bro. We got dedicated fans, bro. Like I'm trying to tell you, son, these Xbox fans, you respect the Xbox fans, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like I get PlayStation's big. There's a billion PlayStation fans out there. You know, there's a lot of guys out there that love the hardcore fanboy Xbox guys out there that talk a lot of crap or kind of like, you know, do clickbait stuff. Channel who love us for what we do, man, and they're loyal and they come and they watch. And even if we're not live, they catch the shows later. I have nothing but love and respect for them. Is why I continue to do this.
Yeah.
And why I continue to more good media, more content for them, because just man, that's a lot.
And that's not to say that's not to say we won't consider other platforms, but like right now, the initial problem is not our concern, at least right now. So.
D21 exclusive says, do you think Rare will announce another game at E3 besides Perfect Dark, since Phil once said they were working on multiple projects? Well, if Rare announces a game, it won't be Perfect Dark because they're not working on Perfect Dark. I can tell you that right now. If they do, I think it'd just be a platform.
They were associated with it. I wouldn't be surprised if they were. Like like a hypothetical situation, like if they had the coalition or something, like doing like a joint project, I wouldn't be surprised if Rare was involved in some way.
Yeah, it would be great if they were. I think it would be dope if Rare announced a bowl and they worked on a new banjo because of Super Lucky Tail. Like I really love the design of Super Lucky Tail. I know a lot of people said it wasn't that good, but I just like the overall atmosphere of how cool it is as a platformer. I think that'd be really dope. ABA says, why not do shows on Mixer? They could use the traffic, especially now when people are leaving YouTube and going to Twitch. Mixer is a tough platform to work on, especially for what we do. We're podcasting. We're not really playing games like that. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of our content actually hits iTunes and Google Play, and people can catch you actually listening to it. I mean, we want you to listen to this when you go to work, when you're on a bus, taking a train, when you're driving, when you're bored, if you're playing Xbox and you want to hear the latest news content. We want you to listen. So we're not really focused on visual as much. But my goal is to try to be more visual for YouTube coming up, because I want us to be more interactive and bring in more viewers. Just be a better show for the people who are watching. But I don't know if Mixer is the platform for us right now, though we are working on some projects with Mixer with other team members. Let me see here. Let's see. Dope Gaming with Frog says, would it be good for Xbox to remaster or remake some games from the past? For example, Jade Empire, Mecha Assault, Blinks, Otagi, Conquer, Sudeki.
No. There's only one game. Only one game deserves a remaster.
Jade Empire.
Nope.
Jade Empire is the only game that deserves a remaster, man.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Man, I know what he's going to say. Dare talking about no Fusion Frenzy.
Fusion Frenzy!
Get out of here. Jade Empire is the only game that deserves
it. Jade Empire is dope. Otagi would be dope if they built it like Dark Souls. I know it's like mad Dark Soul clones out there, but because Otagi was like a demon and you played as this demon fighting monsters or some crap, I think that would have been dope. But yeah, no, Microsoft only owns Mecha Assault, Blinks, and Conquer. They don't own Jade Empire, Otagi, and Sudeki. So yeah, that's tough. Chris Cobra, what's going on, brother? Thank you for stopping in. Royale game in a way. They cut down trees, get arrows, dope, gaming with wrong. I'm trying to win.
A lot of people don't know, man, that Togi was made by From Software, the same people that brought us Dark Souls.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And they worked on another game for Xbox, Ninja Blade, that a lot of people didn't touch either.
Yeah, Ninja Blade. Yeah, a lot of people missed that game. So Andrew Wilkins does his little PlayStation fanboy thing and says, in a circle, which will flop harder? Sea of Fruitcakes or Crack Pipe 3? This guy, I tell you. First of all, Sea of Fruitcakes is actually
what neither one of those games are, sir.
Nah, I don't know what those games are. It sounds like some PlayStation would make with QuickTime events. I don't want to tell you what happens on Sea of Fruitcakes. Sea of Thieves, I think, is going to do excellent. Sea of Thieves is going to do extremely well. I don't know about Crackdown though. We're on the fence with Crackdown. People in the comment section. What bum team is Bum Cow playing with on NBA Live presented by Kid Smooth Jr.? First of all, actually, NBA Live is a really good game. Really surprised at how good NBA Live is. They gave it away for free this weekend. And I've been playing it. It's on sale for $7. And I am thoroughly impressed that NBA Live is actually a really good game. Is it a 2K? No, probably not there yet. I really like it. I don't feel like sometimes when you play 2K, you feel like you're attached to the defensive player. Like when you're playing or you try to drive or whatever. In Live, it actually feels really fluid, but it gets really slow when you go to the basket. I think that's one of the downfalls of the game. Like driving to the basket just seems super slow motion, or fast breaks and you get the ball and you're trying to run. You move pretty slow before you get momentum to actually. So, but I like the game overall. I don't think it's a bad game, and I'm actually considering picking it up for $7. Is really trying to get people to play the game because they actually have a really good product. And surprisingly, it's actually rated higher than 2K18 or 2K18 on Xbox.
I'm not surprised
in comparison to
a lot of people were pissed. A lot of people were pissed off about all that mess about the DLC or the microtransactions, and right. So a lot of people review bombed it.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people were pissed, but if you play 2K every year, it's the same thing every year. You know what I mean? At least with the microtransactions. You know what I mean? So I think that was just people who were, coming back to the franchise because they showed something new with the My Playground or wherever they called it, My Neighborhood. A lot of people came back for that. But as far as the microtransactions, they pretty much been the same for like the last 5 years. You know what I mean? Just
right.
You gotta be prepared to spend money when you play 2K.
Yeah. Macavall says NBA Live is just okay. You're just not good at 2K. No, I'm good at 2K. I'm not bad. It's just 2K is expensive as hell. Like it's hard for me to just continuously buy sports games every year. You know what I'm saying? Like I see B don't do it. B picks up 2K all the time and he's playing it. I see guys pick up Madden all the time and they're playing it, man. I have a rule where it's like I gotta get a game every 2 years. I gotta feel like every 2 years is when I feel like there's enough roster turnover to pick up a sports game. And so NBA Live, NBA Live is pretty good. Foul says, what does Ken Love do at Microsoft? Ken Love is a creative director at Microsoft. He also worked for a host of video game companies when, back in the day when we were kids. He worked at Rare. Killer Instinct being one of his prominent titles that he worked on. He was also the voice of Chief Thunder, as well as a few other characters. When he worked at Nintendo, Donkey Kong Country, just a plethora of games you can find Ken Lobb's name in. Golden another game. They actually named a gun after him, the Klob, which is, I think, the most powerful gun in GoldenEye. So, yeah, no, he's a legend. He's definitely had his hand in a lot of titles from Rare and working at Nintendo for a very long time, as well as a few other places. Okay. So that's it for tonight's show. Listen, again, I want to thank everybody for stopping out. Truly grateful for the support as always. Keep an eye out for the Last Sun Network, which will be the new channel popping up soon sometime next month. Make sure you tune in to Tech Podcast every week, every Saturday at 10 p.m. Eastern, as well as Iron Lord Podcast Sundays at 1, Multiverse Mondays at Anchor.
8 p.m.
Eastern. And 2XP, look for the 2XP uploads either Wednesday or Thursday, but you can check those out live on Fame Entertainment Channel, I believe at 8 o'clock on Wednesday nights, I want to say. So tune in there. And again, we're working on a lot of projects. We're talking about doing a ladies' night with the Gamer Girls on Mixer, Latin gaming nights on Mixer as well with the Latino gaming community. And we have a new podcast coming as well. So keep an eye out for all that stuff. And I want to make sure you give us a thumbs up and share. And we'll see you next week. So I'm your host, KLWarXKL, the last son of Planet Xbox with Anchorman V and B Money 101. Peace.